on, everybody? Welcome back to the Data Drama Show with your boy, Ben Humble. We are live here in the studio, and I want to get started a little bit later today because we got some awesome stuff in the mix. So I want to make sure you guys are ready to roll with me here. You know, we're dropping daily value for you guys, and I'm so honored and thrilled to be part of this. And I hope you guys are having an amazing experience with me every day of the week. And how sweet are some of these guests we're bringing on, right? So, hey, what's going on in the comments? I see some folks up in the house. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you guys here. So if it's your first time, we're talking about going broke. How do you go from broke to millionaire? What does that look like? What kind of journey do you have to go on? Is there personal development? Is there what? We got an amazing guest that I want to talk to today. I've been looking forward to connecting with this cat for a long time. We got a lot of mutual acquaintances and a lot of good people that are connected with this guy. So it's going to be an exciting conversation. So y'all need to get ready for what's going on. If it's your first time on the show, make sure if you guys are a Canadian real estate investor, grab a copy of the book we just put out, absolutely free over at humble.ceo. Check it out, grab a copy. And we're going to jump into like an amazing combo. You know, yesterday we had we had Sean Whalen out, and then we had some other folks and some other folks and some other folks. And if you guys remember, we had Carlos Reyes on the show, and this cat here, super impressive. Everybody speaks very highly of him, and Alex started, I'm going to let him kind of tell the story, but Alex has done extremely well for himself. I believe he's still 23, or is he 24 yet? I think he's still 23, right? 23. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to bring him on right now. Let everybody give me some thumbs, give me some love from my boy Alex Saenz. Welcome to the show, my dude. How are you, man?
I am blessed, man. Humbled to be on.
Oh, come on.
Humbled to serve and deliver.
Dude,
let's go.
You say humbled? Come on now. Let's go.
Exactly.
This is going to be fresh. Dude, if I had your hairline, I'd be so much happier with life. I'm just saying, you guys are dope. Let's call it what it is.
If I had your energy every day.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You know, that's Jesus and Starbucks, a combination. I'm going to put that stuff in the bottle. Alex, before we get started, man, what I like to do is we got a little segment called Data or Drama, and I'm going to hit you with a question, and I want you to tell me, is it true or false? Is it data or drama? Folks at home, you know the script. Participate with me. Let me know. Alex, you ready? This is going to be a fun segment. Here we go.
Ready to go.
Yo, the Bentley Bentayga is the second most powerful SUV in the world with 600 horsepower and 663 foot-pounds of torque. Is this true or false?
True.
Is the second most powerful, true or false?
True.
Well, based on our information, my bro, what do you folks think at home? What y'all think? True, false? Wendy, what you saying? Jeff? Stacy, what you saying? All right. Apparently, they say it's drama. It's actually the most powerful. It's not the second.
Wow, I thought the Urus
So
would
did
be,
I.
More powerful.
Oh, the torque. So what I'm hearing from the studio is it's got more foot-pounds of torque than the Urus does, which is amazing. Okay.
Then that's, yep.
Okay, that's how you tricked me because you said most powerful. Okay, so they got me in the studio, man.
That got me.
Dude, by the way, my folks, my man's got a beautiful, what color blue is that? Because I see it all over Instagram.
I think the actual name is Sapphire Blue.
Sapphire blue. Okay, I love it.
But it's a sweet looking darker blue.
Awesome, man. You know what I love about you guys, and folks, we're going to get into this conversation here, but what I love about the guys, the all-in guys out in Phoenix is that there's such a brotherhood, a collaboration. A lot of us, even in Canada, we're new to this whole wholesaling thing. By the way, we're about 10 or 15 years behind you guys, Alex. So people here are just like competitive and scarcity driven and all this stuff. And I see you guys as like aspirational leaders of business, right? You guys working together in collaboration. I'm like, dude, this is what it needs to be. More teamwork, more growth together, not trying to compete. So I want to jump into some stuff with you, brother, but would you mind take us back? You're only 23 still, right?
That's right.
23 years old. Could you give us a rundown, man? How does a 23-year-old millionaire, like, how does that happen? Walk us through the beginning if you don't mind, man. I'd love to hear the journey.
No, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on. Before I continue, I just want to make sure that my intention here is clear with the audience, whether this is live or this is on replay.
We're live.
I'm here to serve. And anybody that's ever been around us can truly testify for that. And our actions will forever speak louder than any word that I can portray on this podcast. But I'm here, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So
I love that. Can I give you a bomb for that, my brother? Because I love the servant attitude. We're both Christian men, and for me, it's so awesome when I meet other business owners in the same faith because we just resonate at a different frequency. So I want to recognize you for that and your belief system. I love it that you're living so openly about your faith. So thank you for that, man.
That's right, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, so who's Alex? Well, first and foremost, I'm here in Phoenix, sunny Arizona. Grew up here all of my life, and grew up lower middle class. Went up and down throughout my childhood, from a 3-bedroom, $200K house to a 4-bedroom, $500,000 home. So I saw the rise. My dad was a construction management. He had a construction management position, and then my mom was a hairstylist. So they both had decent jobs. 2007, 2008, that went really south. Got foreclosed on those 2 homes that we owned, and were I want to say humbly forced to move into a trailer park. So from the age of 13 to 17, grew up in a trailer park. Nobody knew. I was very ashamed of it. There was a lot of money issues growing up. That was the main reason my parents got divorced when I was 13. And things after the crash really got humbled because, I'm only 12 years old, 11, 12, but I'm like the only minority at a school here in Arizona, and I'm living on top of the world, feeling like I've made it at 12 years old. It's funny that it sounds like that. But during the crash, everything was stripped from us, and we were back in a trailer park. And then from 13 to 17, that's when I really experienced, how to be humble. And you would think things would get better at the trailer park, but it didn't. It was very tough years from the age of 13 to 17, a lot of pain, a lot of depression, a lot of loneliness. I mean, I grew up in a family from, growing up as a teenager that, we would do something every, Sunday. We would have daily, family dinners, family vacations, and 13, 14, that was stripped away. So it was, I was playing football, I would come home, and come home to an empty household, and there was no connection, and really just very lonely and depressing. So one thing's for sure, I never let up on my grades. So throughout high school, I busted my ass, not only just playing football, but graduated with a 4.2 GPA. And that led me to have options. So by the time I was 18, I was accepted into a lot of top universities, but I didn't have the emotional or the financial support from my family. And that was the biggest bottleneck. So this led me to keep thinking, or keep wondering, and just having the curiosity of entrepreneurship. And this is where, the juices started to occur, to come to me. And it led me to real estate wholesaling, which has been an extreme blessing over the last 5 years. I'm 23. I started when I was 18.
Awesome.
So at the age of 18, straight out of high school.
Okay.
One of my buddies, Jalen White, went to high school with him.
Love Jalen. That's my dude.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yes,
So
sir.
we do know a lot of people.
Come on now.
But at the age of 18, me and Jalen went to the same high school.
Okay.
So 2 weeks after graduation, he shows me his bank account, and it's $13,000. I remember to this day.
Yep.
And he showed me, and I'm like, how'd you do it? Like, he told me he flipped the house, and he ended up telling me the concept, and then he took off to Poland for like 2 months. So over the summer break, I'm like, I was so curious and intrigued about the wholesaling real estate business, especially because, and although like at the time it all sounds like a big scam and a big Ponzi scheme, like no money, no credit, little to no money.
Sure.
You don't need a college degree or a license to do it. I don't know how it is in Canada,
Same.
Here, like you didn't need it. So that to me was very intriguing. But again, he left to Poland. So over the summer of 2015, I was 18 years old. That's when I really dove deep into what I call, free university, AKA YouTube. So I looked at every single YouTube video that that pertained to real estate wholesaling. Ron LeGrand, Clever Investor, Dean Graziosi, Flipman, all these old times, gurus. And I really dove deep, Sean Terry. And so I was committed. But maybe like a lot of you have experienced, sometimes it seems like it comes easy to somebody else, but then when you try it, you get slapped around. So I got slapped around heading into real estate wholesaling. And it took me 9 long months. It felt like a few years to get my first real estate deal.
Do you say 9 months, bro?
9 long months to get my first real estate wholesale deal.
Let's connect on that real quick. So I just want to kind of backtrack for a moment. So your story, man, you're coming up here, you're living in the trailer park. You know, you're going through, you know, adversity by all tokens and all means, right? And, you know, people would look at you and say, man, you know, maybe that guy's not going to amount to much, but you had good grades, you kept pushing, and you started at 18, and for 9 months, I just want to make this distinction for folks at home. For 9 months, this man, young man, was willing to push without a deal. How many of us get stuck after like 9 weeks and we're like, this doesn't work, this is a scam, this is broken, this is whatever? So what led you to keep pushing, man? Was there a pain inside of you, or what forced you to keep going for 9 months before you got that deal?
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because, well, what's funny is you said, was it the pain? It was absolutely the pain. It was a time in my life where at 18, I had to grow up really quick. I mean, I wasn't talking to my dad. He was doing his own thing, got remarried. My mom ended up moving to Nevada. So I'm in Phoenix. So I was forced to live at a friend's house. So month 3, 4, 5, 6, actually month 3 to 8, I lived at a friend's house. And I was still trying to do real estate. So I was really, it was one of those things where I had to do it. Like, it wasn't a matter of like, if like, I didn't have the luxury of not doing it. So I had to just make it happen. I had forfeited all my scholarships. So it was like, hey, this is either this works. And it wasn't like, well, I'm just going to skip this year and then I'll go to university next year. It was like, no, like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen because, number one, I was very fortunate to know Jalen. So the proof of concept on the business was there. I knew it was real. I seen the money in his bank account. So it wasn't a matter of like, does this work? Because I knew it worked, but it was more of like, is this going to work for me? So throughout the 9 months, I mean, every single emotion that you can think of popped up. It was very depressing. And then I would get a deal under contract and then it would fall.
Manic depressive.
How my first deal happened, this was month 8, got a deal under contract by a bandit sign, by a we buy houses sign. And got it under contract. It was a $5,000 deal. A few weeks later, I quit my job. I was working at a call center collection agency. I quit the job because I had $5,000 closing that following Monday. Come to find out that following Monday, seller calls me, hey, my dad has cancer. I'm not going to sell the property. I didn't want to force the situation, so I had to let it go. So now I'm with rent coming up in about a week from then. No job. I had an $800 car with no tax and insurance. I had nothing. I moved out of my friend's house. Rent's coming up. I'm like, what am I going to do? And that deal falling apart was the final straw for me. I'm like, I'm done doing real estate. This isn't for me. This is, it works for everybody else, but not me. And that's when I literally had to dig deep into like, okay, why am I doing this? And it was a very long, week and a half, of just lower disempowering emotions. And then finally, how my first deal happened, my actual first deal closed, was just God sent, man. I was taking my girlfriend to her grandma's house. She's like, hey, do you want to come in? I'm like, no, I'll stay in the car. I'm listening to the radio. There's some gospel music. And I just had this feeling of just like, I had a feeling that I didn't feel for a few years. And because of all this trauma and my parents divorcing and, financial circumstances and just no connection to anybody, just feeling very alone and abandoned. But it was at that moment where I felt, pushed to drive for dollars, and I knew of the concept. So drove around an area here in Phoenix. The second house that I found that was vacant, I Googled the seller's name on a free website. His number popped up, called all those numbers, didn't work, clicked on the relative, called the first relative. The main owner answers. I talked to the owner. He had 2 houses on the street. I gave him a $50,000 offer. He hung up on me. I called him back, ended up negotiating at $93,000. And 5 days later from that deal getting contracted, I closed a $13,000 deal, and that was January of 2016, and forever changed my life.
Boom. One deal. Let me hit the bomb again on that. So one deal is what it takes, and something so powerful, Alex, about what you're saying is that there's so much redemption in one. You just need the one, folks. Sometimes we get stuck in this whole lack of confidence, this dissolution, and all this thing, and when we get that one trigger, it's like, man, it's possible. You said it. You said proof of concept, that your buddy Jalen had proof of concept so that you know it was possible. So, right. What's amazing about that is like it just took the one. So what happens from there? You get the first deal, And then what happens now? Do you join with the all-in guys, or like are you doing your own thing, or how do you keep developing? Because you're what at this age? You're 18.
I had just turned 19.
19 years old, dude. Old man.
Fresh,
Come on, man.
Fresh
old man.
19. Yeah, fresh 19. So yeah, this was 2016, and once I got the first deal, it was all that I needed to confirm internally that this was possible. And then the way that my first deal happened and how it was just so effortless, and I mean, I say that first deal was effortless, but the 9 months were, I mean, that was the difficulty. But
yeah,
how that first deal just came to fruition, it was just God sent. So like I knew then that I'm like, okay, this isn't like this. Just I've never got a deal that same way. Like literally, and we've done hundreds and hundreds of deals now. But I just knew that I knew who was in charge. Let's just put it that way. And I'm a believer, and I knew who was in charge. And from then on, I just had a conviction, a certainty that this was it, and this was going to be a huge, huge thing. And throughout that first year, very new to business, didn't have any mentors or any guidance, didn't really know anybody. I wouldn't consider myself an introvert, but I definitely I couldn't talk to anybody because number one, I didn't have the connections. The connections and friendships I had were all of high school, my friends, getting drunk at their freshman parties or whatever. Like that's all I had.
You don't need those friends.
So I disassociated myself with everybody.
Yeah.
First year was it was amazing, but it was lonely as far as like entrepreneurship connections.
Yep.
Ended up closing 12 deals the first year for $120,000.
Come on now. Keep going.
12 deals for $120,000. And I kept my expenses low. I was living at my cousin's house. I was renting a room for $300 a month. I didn't have any car payments. No, I wasn't spending, lavishly. And I pocketed mostly all the money. This was all like the 12 deals were a combination of bandit signs, cold calling, Zillow offers, Craigslist. So it was just all lower cost marketing. And then throughout that year, what happened was I felt, number one, the reason I wanted to be a success is, in real estate was at the time was to really prove everybody wrong. And I quickly found out that wasn't a good drive, because that wasn't for me. It was for everybody else. So I'm like, I just started really contemplating and like, okay, what does Alex really want? And it was to make impact. I felt like my parents did abandon me, and I've dealt with it. But I felt like, okay, I'm in a position where I'm the only one enjoying the fruits of the labor. I don't have to go to work. Everybody else around me is still struggling. My dad's still struggling. My mom's still struggling. My siblings have no financial backing for whatever they want to do in the future. I'm like, I got to make this about others. So that's when I started to build a team, a wholesaling team. My first hire was an acquisitions manager. So towards the end of my first year, started building a team. And that's when I came across Carlos and Sal, the other all-in leaders. Yeah. And we had our own separate businesses, but we're in the same market. We kept in contact, attended a few masterminds together. And then following the next year, we all decided to get an office. And this is where it literally just all changed. This is where I stopped treating the business like a hobby and started to treat the business like a freaking business.
So you and your competitors, in a way, you guys decided to get the same office space.
We did.
Okay.
We did.
Okay. So folks in Canada, if you're listening to that, start shifting the mindset. Talk us what happened through that, man.
Yeah. So this February of 2018, we got an office. It was me, and I had about 4 team members, so 5 of us total, and then Carlos and Sal had a few team members, and we all got an office. And that's when, just getting an office shifted so much, because we weren't just playing a hobby. We were playing in a man's game now, or woman's game, an entrepreneurship game.
Yep, for sure.
So that's when, at home, we were working at home, and we would go home and, you take longer lunches, you slack a little longer.
Yep.
We were playing like video games while we were cold calling. Like we weren't not taking it serious. So the moment we got an office, it was, business, and consistency. And what that did that year with the team of 5, we closed 52 deals.
Dude, 52 deals. That's amazing, man. I love
52 deals. I was 19 and had a team of 5. And we closed $615,000 in wholesaling fees.
Come on now, man. How about that, man? That's amazing.
As a 19-year-old.
I love that.
And and it just kept growing. And I mean, the guys, I mean, just being in the same area with, you know, two like-minded entrepreneurs with high energy and amazing values and principles just really elevated me at a young age. And doors kept opening. And when my third year in real estate, I started, you know, attend more masterminds, connect with more people, and really elevated. And that year we closed over $1 million in wholesale fees.
Boom!
In the Phoenix market.
I love that. That's awesome.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.
So you're the power of proximity, right? Like you're coming as this young kid. Dude, I love this story. This is a rags to riches story here, and you're coming in proximity to these guys. You say, hey, here's my competitors, but we started creating a friendship. Now we're gonna work in the same work environment, and from there stems more and more growth and more. Like, that is such a beautiful story. Talk to me about this idea of collaboration, brother, because I think a lot of folks are so focused on the competition, and I'm going to kill everything, and it's me, and I don't get that sense from you. Talk to me about that mindset, would you?
Not at all. Yeah, collaboration over competition. I mean, fact of the matter is there is, you know, competition. You know, I don't like when the term there's no competition is around. There's other competitors, other real estate investors. But what you can do with, number one, when the best thing that happened to me was when issues arise in my business, the same issues were already resolved in another individual's business. Carl Sauer, another collaborator here in the Phoenix market. And when they had issues, I had the answers. So having somebody to constantly exchange information with and value quickly got rid of so much resistance that we would otherwise experience on ourselves. So we're huge on masterminds. We're huge on collaboration. We're, you know, go-givers. And that has just, to sum it up, the more that you communicate with other people in the same, you know, area or same trajectory, the less resistance you will have to keep, you know, climbing up the success ladder in whatever business you're in.
So you're part of masterminds at this point. You guys are going, you mentioned masterminds. What does that look like for you as a young guy going to a mastermind? You know, are you going often? Are you paying? Like, what does that look like for you in terms of mentorship?
No, absolutely. So early on, yeah, we paid for a handful of masterminds to attend with, you know, 7-figure, 8-figure investors. We went to top wholesaling masterminds, and just learned and learned. And now, my life has completely changed in the last, you know, 2 years. But now I have really good mentors that I, you know, and the proper counsel that I talk to on a weekly, almost daily basis. Over the last 12 months, I've invested over $120,000 in personal and business education, and it's been the biggest just elevation, you know, biggest slingshot effect that I've ever experienced in my life. So I'm a firm believer in paying for proximity, paying for education, and paying to shortcut a lot of, you know, other businesses.
You said a beautiful word that I like to say often is counsel, not advice. And, you know, a lot of people are getting advice, and advice is free from everybody, from your dad to your friend. And there's two types of advice, in my opinion. There's the critical or comparison advice. So, you know, the person who's giving it to you is comparing their situation to yours. So not really apples to oranges, not really helpful. And then there's the compassionate advice. The compassionate advice is tricky because it's your parents saying, Hey, Alex, you don't need any more than what you got. I have compassion. Just be okay with what you got. I feel bad for you, Alex. You're working too hard. None of those things drive you. Yeah, the sympathy. So talk to me about counsel. How is that really different, man? Because you're spending $100,000 and something in 6 months to pay. How is that different at your age, man? Because people can't fathom spending $20,000. What do you mean? A coach is a scam, bro.
Yeah. So number one, the goals and the vision and purpose that I have in my heart and mind, I need to continue to build capacity, and that's the game. I mean, especially in real estate, like somebody just going into the business, sticking to themselves, may have the capacity to only do few deals a month. My purpose and vision is so much higher that I need to increase the capacity, not only for myself, but for my team and organization to do, 30, 40, 50, 100 deals a month. That's where we're headed. And as far as paying for mentors and counsel, that's what it is. It's to help build capacity. I've gone to a lot of masterminds. I've talked to a lot of business coaches and life coaches, and that's it right there. It's like and this isn't easy to find the proper coach or counsel that is going to be of compassion versus pity and sympathy. Like, I don't want somebody to, number one, always side with me and always, hype me up. I want somebody to really let me know what I need to do and what I need to get out of, what, thoughts and patterns I need to interrupt in my life to really achieve the next level. So I just been very fortunate to come across the right people, from Carlos to Sal to mentors and business coaches that I have now. And it's just elevated my game tremendously.
I love that word capacity. So can you dissect that for us a little bit? Do you mean mental capacity, or what do you mean by capacity?
So capacity is, when I say increase capacity, this is increase your ability to be responsible for more and more. And at a billionaire's level, which is a goal of mine, I feel like I have the proper counsel, the tools and skill sets to achieve that. And it's only a matter of time. But I understand that at that level, it's not always about the way to make, or the technical way to make money or run things, but it's really like who can endure the most stress and who can be responsible for the most.
Right.
And so when it comes to capacity, that's the game that I'm playing in now. It's like, how can I increase my capacity to be responsible for more and more?
So beautifully said. It's like something I remember. It's like, if you're not faithful in the small things, God can't give you bigger things to manage, because ultimately we're stewards of what we have. So when you look at relinquishing control over what you have, whether it's money or family, whatever else, and say, hey, I'm just a steward of this thing. It's not mine, but I'm taking care of it momentarily. The garden has been, gifted to me so that I can mend that garden. When you think about it that way, it creates a whole different set of responsibilities. So what do you do outside of like the mentorship, in your personal development or your personal responsibility? What are some of the things that maybe you do?
Yeah. So on the personal, inner side.
Sure. Yeah. Like, what do you do personally, like to grow in responsibility? Because obviously you want to increase your capacity. I'm sure there's probably some personal development elements. Is that right?
No, absolutely. So let me give you guys a little bit more context, because at 19, 20, achieved a level of success that I had only dreamed of. Very early. And I had the right people around me, so I didn't squander the opportunity. But at the same time, there was a lot of confusion inside. There was a lot of unfulfillment, just to be straight up. Like, there's a lot of unfulfillment. Like, I had the business. I was financially stable. I was helping my family. I was building and continuing my growth as an entrepreneur and leader. But there's a lot of unfulfillment inside. And what that led me to go was to deal with a lot of past trauma that I had dealt with as a child. Sometimes we think that things that we deal with as a child or teenager or in our early adult life, we can just tuck under the rug. And for me, the more I did that, the more discomfort that I kept feeling in my soul. So that led me to really dig deep into why I was feeling a certain way, why I was still feeling unworthy, why I was still feeling lonely and abandoned, why I was still dealing with mild depression, even though I had a beautiful life that I had worked for and I was blessed with. So that led me to really dig deep into past things. And when I say past things, I mean past trauma and circumstances that ultimately were blessings at the time it happened, but really hurt, and really were just subconsciously blocking me from achieving more success and happiness and joy in my life. So I did a lot of work with past trauma, just understanding, why it happened, and shining my light of awareness onto those things so it can liberate me to create more energy and joy and fulfillment in my life. So went deep into personal development. I went to a very amazing world-renowned psychologist by the name of Dr. George Pratt, and did a lot of work with him. He's Dr. George Pratt. He's in La Jolla, California.
Okay.
And literally just started going into a side of the entrepreneurship side and personal side that a lot of people are afraid to go versus sedating my emotions and hiding away from them. I was embracing them. And that just led me to just over the last 12 months to be at a state of just true peace and fulfillment, regardless of all the outside circumstances that are going on, whether we make 100, 200 or 20K a month, I'm still happy. So going through that progression, diving deep into personal development, inner work has just completely changed my life. So now I understand that the inner side always correlates with the business. And like one of my mentors says, we don't usually have business problems. We have personal problems in our business.
Yeah.
And
love that.
And that is absolutely true. Beautiful. And so now by me just being in a state of high elevated emotions, high elevated frequency, it has just allowed me to, number one, be a better, soul and son of a God, be a better leader, entrepreneur and brother and cousin and all around being, by just being at a high elevated state to really serve to my greatest capacity.
I love that. And there's such a peace about you, just your demeanor and your composure. It's just, you're so peaceful and tranquil. I think a lot of people suffer with that, my brother. Like they just don't have that about them. And maybe they need to go through a lengthy period of personal development or something. But I've noticed in my life, one of the big critical components was, where do you tether your identity to? Is your identity tethered to the money and the things that you have and the people that you know and so forth? And if so, when those things become broken, so do you. But right. If you tether your identity to something greater than yourself, something greater than this world, I'm going to preach for a second here. So for me, the only way to tether your identity is to God. That's it. It's that simple. Because that's the only thing that's everlasting and perfect. Anything outside of that complex is going to be something that's inherently broken, or in a world of sin. So when something happens with the flesh or sin, then we're going to say, "Oh my God, I've lost my entire identity." So that's what's helped me, kind of regardless of what happens around you. I'm kind of like in the Matrix. I try to stay anyways, and I get this wrong a lot. But how do you equate that? Do you have something like that in your life, and how do you tether your identity and your mindset?
Great question. Yeah, I mean, asking yourself, who do you serve? What principles and values do you want to represent? What Christ-like, what Christ-like values do you want to have and portray into not just your life but everybody else's? So constantly holding yourself accountable to those questions. A lot of people don't want to go into their past issues or past habits or circumstances because they see it as a burden. And for me, I've now in my life, every single problem that happens, every single thing that I experience, it all is for me. It all is for me. It's not conspiring against me, it's conspiring for me. And really just time after time, the more I continue to accept that, the more synchronicity and divine things just continue to happen, doors being open that I would never imagine. So just being truly surrendered to God, and really just being in flow with God's flow, and not your flow. And when things don't go my way, I'm still in flow, and whatever resistance that comes, it's all for me. So just having that mindset to continue to go in that way has just truly changed my life.
Dude, just a beautiful expression of just, tranquility and calmness. I think that's where it comes, when it's not tethered to the things around you. Let me ask you this, Alex, as we kind of move forward in this conversation here. What do you struggle with these days? I mean, your business is doing great, which is awesome, okay? I see you whipping around in a, multiple $100,000 SUV, which is amazing. And I'm one of those people when I get excited for people. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. Good for this guy. That's amazing. That. You know why? Because we need to be in a position where we can not only just live in gratitude, but live in a position where we start recognizing other people's gratitude, other people's faithfulness. And I'm like, hey man, I'm proud of you and your faithfulness, because that's how you get more. And if you're looking at me like, oh man, this is too much rah-rah foo-foo stuff, okay, that can be your opinion. I get it. But here's what I'm telling you. On any level, whatever your faith and circumstances, you're either faithful in small things, because the way you do one thing is the way you do all things, or you're not. It's that simple. If you can't manage $5, you're not going to manage $5 million. It's that simple. It's clear. So
absolutely.
So, in resonating with that, I see the tranquility. What do you as a business owner maybe struggle with these days, or what is your push these days that that you're working on? Hey, it's Ben Humble. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what my guest is talking about and you're getting massive value from it, then scroll to the bottom, open up the description, and follow them on social media. Support them, connect with them. Just scroll down there, click the link, and let's roll. Stay humble.
As a business owner, it's really number one, getting out of your own way and being open to infinite possibilities, to infinite knowledge. Because I feel like as an entrepreneur, for the longest time, just in my first, second, third year, a lot of the stuff that would have greatly served me, I was in my own way. Either I wasn't letting go of the vine, I wasn't trusting a team member fully, or I was just holding on and stopping the flow of going throughout the business. So getting out of your own way, being open to infinite possibilities. And that's really what I struggle with. On the personal side, living with more discipline. On the physical side, living with more discipline. And my goal is to definitely 100,000% be elite in all areas. And that's what I'm after. To be Christ-like in all areas, not just in one, not just choosing what we want, but to be and live Christ-like in everything. And
it's all encompassing, mind, body, spirit, all of it, to become a successful business owner, because it takes so much work. Let's call it what it is. It's going to take a lot of your energy, your effort, and you're going to come across hurdles in your business, in your mindset. And I think you're right, dude. Your mindset's going to hold you back. It's not the tactical how-tos. We fail to execute on those tactical how-tos because, number one, we have limiting beliefs. We live in scarcity. We live in massive fear. And we just don't even know what we want. So as we kind of, move forward and wrap up here, what advice would you have for some folks, man, that are, obviously younger, looking to get into the business like you? What could you counsel them? And if they say, Alex, man, I want to do this, brother, where do I start, or what should I do?
Yeah. One thing on the business side, I wish I knew this a few years ago when I started.
Come on, preach.
I would go into, whether it's real estate wholesaling, real estate in general, or any type of business, I would go with the intention of learning how to teach.
Okay.
And learn to teach. I'm going to explain why. And I don't mean, hey, learn so you can teach and charge everybody thousands of dollars to learn it. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, don't go with the intention of understanding or comprehending, because that's not going to, it'll produce a little bit of results, but it's not going to be sustainable in long term. And for a lot of people, they go with the intention of being knowledgeable. So, hey, I want to learn how to do this. I want to know how to do this. And I actually want to do this. So going with the intention of like, hey, I want to learn it because I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it so well and so good that I'm going to be able to teach. And this is not to sell courses. I'm going to be able to duplicate myself. And I think for me, I wish I knew that early on, because I would have duplicated myself quicker. I would have scaled my business much faster. I would have delegated and elevated the all-around business so much quicker. So go with the intention of learning how to teach. And I'll give an example of, if I give somebody a book and I say, hey, read this book and get back to me, I'll follow up tomorrow. Like, oh yeah, I still have it. I haven't started. Follow up a week later. Hey, I read the front and back, I'm about to start it. 2 weeks later. Yeah, I read the first chapter. Okay. It's a constant trend. This is how people operate. Versus I said, hey, this is my last book and I want you to read this, but not only that, tomorrow I would like for you, or I'd like you to teach the concepts of this book to everybody on the team. Now, that person that reads the book is going to go with the intention of teaching, which then they're going to retain more info, know more about it, and then have the ability to teach others, which is only going to help themselves. Every time you teach, you help yourself further deepen your knowledge.
I love that. So much clarity in that statement, because it's not just a matter of you knowing the basics. You're kind of cheating yourself, right? I think what you're saying, and if I'm extrapolating this correctly, it's when you can teach it, it means you've really had to go deep on it so that you really understand it, but not only just understand it, but believe it. I think it's hard to teach something you don't believe. So when you've done it and you're becoming a practitioner of that thing, and you're able to teach that person, now you have inherent confidence in what you're doing, which is so much easier. But you got to go all in though, my brother. You can't go in 50% of the way and then want to be a teacher of it, because you're going to be a false person, false teachings. how hard do you need to go? Just as we wrap up, what does work ethic tie into this for you, my man, and discipline?
That's why we have this brand, all in. You have to go all in, and all in does not mean go all in on business and neglect your family. It doesn't mean go all in on one thing and neglect others. This is go all in on everything. Strive to achieve eliteness in all areas. And for me, the more I have poured into myself, the more that I have, just increase my output into everything, into being more present, aware, and to being a better entrepreneur, and to increasing profits for the company on the money side. Like, everything has completely changed because I've went all in on myself. So that's the first step you guys should take, because you can watch 100 videos, you can watch 100 podcasts, but if you're not all in on yourself, I mean, nobody else is going to be. I promise you that.
I love that. So be all in. It's that simple, folks. Be all in. It's the things you do. Let me ask you this. Do you have a favorite resource or books for folks, man, that maybe they should start with if they're kind of brand new to this?
Absolutely. So sometimes it's, a tactic known as a tactic blown, right? So increasing awareness of what you're going to deal with as an entrepreneur and in general. A great book that I recommend is called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Okay. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. In this book, it talks about what's called resistance, but in the book, it refers to it as upper limit problems. So being aware of your upper limit problems, your resistance in any area of your life, because once we know the resistance, we can overcome the resistance and then achieve whatever goal or task or achievement that we want to accomplish. So that's my number one book on my list. And any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, I absolutely love. And like I mentioned earlier, Dr. George Pratt is a great resource on he's a world-renowned psychologist, worked with Tony Robbins, Rob Dyrdek, Phil Mickelson, and so many other people. And we have access to him, and he's amazing.
Love it. Alex, man, I'm so thankful for this conversation, man. Folks at home, do me a quick favor. Make sure you're sharing this out here today. If you got some value from Alex, and where's the best place folks can connect with you after here? What's your best social media place here, Alex?
Instagram, 100% at Alex Saenz.
At Alex Saenz, spelled Saenz, right? Is that right? Boom.
Yeah, Alex, Alex Saenz, signs like dollar signs.
Dollar signs, man.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.